Good morning, everybody. You're very welcome to this morning's webinar. We're just going to take a couple of minutes. We've quite a good attendance this morning, a strong attendance of people here today. So just give them time to join and to come into the room. So we just take a minute for people to file in and get a chair, as they say. I hope you're all well. That's great. People are really getting into the room there now. Sorry, this is one of the challenges of Zoom when we have a good attendance, is it takes people a while to join us. I should say before I start, as you can see by the opening slide here, it was due to be myself and Carl, but Carl is unable to join us this morning, so it's just me. So for better or for worse, you're with me this morning, and I'm looking forward to working through everything. So look, as people start to join there, there's quite a good few in the room there now. We might just, if you would, let me know if you're hearing us, and you can see the screen. And I think is our standard now. We talk about the weather, and what a week to talk about the weather. It's been fabulous so far, and it looks good. And with the ploughing championships on, I think that's always welcome. Normally they get rained out of it. So if you could pop a little note just into chat to let me know that you can hear, and I can see Marina, my colleague who's supporting me, is enjoying weather in the sunny south of France. So sometimes that chat can take a little while to open up as well, just with everybody joining. But do, when you get a chance, drop a message in there, and we'll be able to keep it going then. Right, sunny Mayo, loud and clear. That's fantastic. I'm surprised Cork hasn't come in yet. Normally Cork gets in there within about 1.2 seconds. So slow off the mark. Mayo beat you to it this morning. Hi, Kira. Hi, Lindsay. Hi, June. Hi, Aoife. Thank you very much. Great. So you can all hear me loud and clear, and I'll come back into a little bit of this in terms of where you can pop questions in, and where we'll go with that during the webinar this morning. So as I say, unfortunately, Carl's not able to join me this morning, so it's just myself. But we have a good agenda for today, and plenty to move through. So just in terms of a little few points to cover, I suppose, before we get into the meat of the thing, in terms of a great place to work, and always a great place to work, we talk about our community and our community of learning, and that's important to us. So a great event coming up here is our Employer Branding Summit, which is on November 21st. And a really, really packed morning right into lunchtime, and then with a networking lunch afterwards. Excited about this one, I have to say. There's some great brands in there that really jump out. You'll see them on the bottom of the panel there, but we have a range of industries, from manufacturing, hospitality, and tech, and then organizations that are both global and local, and really exploring into the opportunities there for organizations in terms of how they can get their employer brand out into the market. So we'll be hearing from Irish Distillers, and they're doing a session around their employee value proposition and how they've worked on that. And then as a global organization, Cisco, talking into their piece. And then a panel coming up with TU Dublin, talking about a really important area, I think, in terms of how to access talent early from the student body and why that's is important. So as I say, there's hospitality in there as well, and I see CPL, a long-time champion of Great Place to Work. So looking forward to hearing all those stories. There's a QR code on your screen there. We are, I believe, limited for space on the day because there's a big Christmas tree in the room. So if you are interested, I would encourage you to book a seat there. In terms of other pieces that we deliver within the community, our Red Q podcast. This is really always good listen. I always think that the latest one is my favorite one, and this is no exception. This is with Carl and Catherine Fitzgibbon from Core Media, an organization that have been with us a long time and have been through a lot of changes, but really use the data well. In here, Catherine's talking about, I think what jumps out to me here is here's an organization who are willing to share some specific practices that they have implemented in their organization, supporting real life stages that their colleagues and team are going through, and then developing practices together, co-owning practices around cancer support, mental health and well-being, and fertility for women. So it's a really good listen. So whatever platform is to say that you listen to your podcasts on, I would recommend that one. So now this morning, in terms of our session this morning, is a real invitation from me to you here to interact. I'd like you to see yourself as participants rather than just dialing in. So thankfully, we've had some questions in advance of the webinar going live. And I look to answer those as we go along, and specifically, and then at the end also. But during the webinar this morning, we're going to have two polls, nice short brief ones, just to get a sense of the audience, because I know we've got a great range of organizations attending this morning. And so there's an opportunity, as I mentioned before, in the Q&A to ask questions, and so that we can come back to you on those. So let's have a good session where you can pop your questions in. I'll do my very best to answer all of those, and any that I can't, I'll hopefully be meeting with some of you after the session individually, and we can tease those out in specific for you. So in terms of Great Place to Work, what we always say is that, look, we believe any organization can be a great place to work. And it's our mission to help you do that and to build your culture. We don't just work with any one specific industry or sector, public sector, private sector, charity, non-for-profit. We work across a range of organizations, and I've worked with thousands of organizations in Ireland over the years. In terms of recognition, these are some of the recognitions that you will see and that you'll be familiar with. The first step being Great Place to Work certified, and then the range of other recognitions that are available to you. So in terms of the polls, we're just going to launch the polls there now. And this really just gives me a sense of where your thinking is at in the room. So the first question is, do you believe that your workplace is a great place to work? Do you believe your workplace has a great place to work culture? So that's a yes or no. If you could click on that. And the second one then is, which aspect of Great Place to Work program are you most interested in learning? So is it around the certification process, around workplace culture, around the employee survey element, talent attraction and retention, or employer branding? So if you could just take a moment to pop your responses in there, that would be great. And the results are in. Great, thank you very much. So 82% of you believe that you're already a great place to work, and 18% not yet. So that's always interesting to me, because ultimately, when you think about this, organizations are self-selecting. So many organizations will come with different agendas to engage with Great Place to Work. So some will believe that they're well on the way to being great already and are looking for that recognition and to be certified. And others are not sure yet, and then want to engage in the process. And we engage with organizations on a 3-year basis. So it makes absolute sense to have the confidence to engage in the process, and in year one understand, well, where are we? And from here, then Great Place to Work as an organization can support you on your path, or on your journey, as it were. So a lot of interest around the certification process, workplace culture, talent and attraction, and employer branding. So that's really good. That kind of informs some of the areas that I will pay attention to now as we go along. So in terms of the process, there's really 4 key steps to pay attention to here, and I'm going to spend a bit of time on this slide just to talk it through. And in truth, I'll be talking about the process broadly. So some of those specific areas for you as an organization may not be answered. I would invite you. We're going to share a link where you can book a meeting individually, and I can explore what are some of those specific areas that we need to get into with you. But in terms of the process in general, at the core of everything we do, we have an employee experience survey, and it's called the Trust Index Survey. So we are learning from your employees and from your workforce, from their responses, what the levels of trust look like in your organization on the back end. But in the main, we have a range of statements in the survey that are capturing insights in 17 categories. We call them 17 actionable categories. So for us, it's all about action planning out of the survey to inform your organization and your business. So the survey, as a standard, we keep it open for 2 weeks. There are a range of statements in there, as I say, and there are 3 open-ended questions as well. In advance of the survey going live, there's kind of like a sub-step here where we set you up with your client success account manager. They are highly experienced in preparing the survey, pre-survey communication, alignment, capturing information about your business before we launch the survey, and have done this thousands of times. So you're in the best and safest of hands here in terms of looking at the survey and the survey launch as a project in terms of what is your survey launch date, and working backwards from that in terms of the milestones and things that you need to pay attention to and that we will deliver in advance of the survey go live. So as I say, survey stays open for 2 weeks. One of the pre-webinar questions was, how long does it typically take people to fill in the survey? Generally, that's about 12 minutes, depending on how long a respondent takes to fill in open-ended questions. So that's our Trust Index survey. That's at the core of everything we do. That delivers 2 strands. One is external recognition, and one then is the data, and that provides us with the insights that we can deliver to your organization. The next piece is culture brief, and the culture brief is an information gather where we're trapping information that you're willing to share with us about your organization. What this feeds into, more importantly, is that once you're certified, we provide you with a free profile on our website platform where you can profile your organization, build out your employer brand, build out your employee value proposition, and that information you put up on the website yourself. So the culture brief is that first headline information that we're going to share once your organization is certified. Thereafter, you have access to that free platform for the year that you're certified. So that's a document that client success will share with you on the call. You populate that with the information you want to first put up, and then you're tailoring that information as the year goes on. So organizations will put up some of their highest scores, some of their best areas of result, and some of them will use colleague profiles, testimonials, YouTube clips, and post jobs there as well. So it's another route to the talent market as such. Step 3 then is all around results, presentation, and reporting. And this really is the heart of what we're doing. So if you think about Great Place to Work being a framework that you're measuring with, and in there you have access to that framework, but also to benchmarks by industry, by best, by category size, a lot of opportunity there to measure against. So as I say, a 3-year program, engaging in the process. So in year 1, we're capturing your data from the survey and coming back using those benchmarks and really helping organizations to action plan and to decide with them what is the priority that they want to pay attention to, and how best we can, inform the strategy and shine a light on particular areas and help you build a culture that's going to deliver on that strategy for you. So we're looking to come back out to your organization, typically in person, and spend quite a bit of time in those 17 categories, using benchmarks and using filters and identifiers for teams, roles, departments within your organization to give you that valuable feedback and then support you on the journey as you go. And the 4th area then is recognition. So this is all about the external recognition element of Great Place to Work. It's gas. Sorry, I'm getting the sun in my eye there, which is a good complaint. So certified is the first recognition. So if you think about certification being a certification standard, so you're not in competition or comparison with any other organization. The standard around certification is a fixed one. So once you're engaging in the process, you have absolute clarity around what that standard is. And once you achieve it, then it's validated for 12 months. So you get to use that certification banner or brand for a rolling 12 months. So we would often say with certification, there's no actual deadline. You can engage whenever suits the organization and the rhythm of the business. But the result and the score comes purely from your employee experience. And I think that's really something different around what we do, and it makes us unique. There are lots of recognitions out of the market, but we really are a premium brand for being recognized as an employer of choice, because it is the story that's coming from your people and what they are saying about the organization and what it is that they value about the organization. So just moving on to certified then. Here it is. This is what the certified standard is. So if we talk about the survey, in the survey there are a range of statements, and a number of these are scoring statements, and they account for the external recognition element. So the standard to achieve for certification is 65%. So we're inviting everybody in the organization to complete the survey. We're looking for a majority response. Of those who do respond, if you score 65% or above, then you're a Great Place to Work certified, and you get to access this banner and this brand along with your own employer brand, and get that out into the market, validated for 12 months. Once you're certified, you'll be connected from our client success team and handed over to our marketing team, and they will help you with all the digital formats and help you get the information up onto the platform as well. So that is the first recognition that you get to go for. And once you're certified, then you're automatically into the cycle for inclusion into Best Workplaces recognition. So having said there isn't a deadline around certified, there is a deadline coming up that's important. So to be included into Best Workplaces 2025 and Best Workplace for Women 2025, there's a deadline, and that is that you would be certified by the end of November, by November 29th, 2024. So if we talk about the survey process and activating that and going live and coming back to your results, the time frame you're really looking at there is 6 weeks. So we'd really be looking for organizations that are interested in being certified and the opportunity to be included in Best Workplaces 2025 and Best Workplace for Women 2025 to get in touch. It's a naturally busy time of the year. Organizations are back from summer. There's a lot of surveys going live right across all our client base right now. So really important that we can get you teed up and get the process in motion for you, and look to set up the survey on a time scale that suits you and give us time for communication. So that deadline again is November 29th. And once again, more than happy to have an individual meeting with anybody attending this morning or any of your team and pick up that conversation around what the timing looks like. There's certainly good time now to register and to get you set up and give us time to plan and to launch the survey. So I mentioned at the outset is your time for participation, and looking forward to hearing some questions from the floor around some of the areas that you're interested in. In advance of the webinar, when you were registering, some people did ask questions. I know Marissa asked a question around concern around the time that it would take, not just the time of the process, I think, as I understand the question, but also time on your desk in terms of resource demand. So we really refined this process now over the years, so that there isn't a huge resource pull for anybody participating in the process here. So as I said earlier, we set you up with client success so that you have a call with our client success team, and there's 2 documents they will share there around employee template, which is getting a map of the organization, which informs our feedback to you as an organization, and that company brief that I mentioned earlier on as well. So that really is the level of resource pull, if you like, at that stage. If you think about the survey, we're the external expert. We're providing the survey to your organization. So we're setting it up. We do this thousands of times, and we can deliver without a lot of pressure for you, so that we're taking the load. There isn't a huge load of work on your desk at that stage. And then we're coming back with the data, and that's where we're really drilling into that. Another question that has come up a number of times, and I did again in advance of this, is around confidentiality and anonymity. So if that is an area that people and respondents aren't asking you questions about, it's certainly foremost in their mind. They're really, really thinking about this. The simple answer is that we in Great Place to Work are an external expert, and we deliver the survey directly from us and invite everybody in your organization to respond. The responses come back to us, and we only share back the responses both in terms of data and comments and suggestions and feedback on a level where confidentiality is absolutely maintained, so that there is no concern around anybody's confidentiality being exposed. One other question from David was around larger organizations and a sector of an organization being recognized. And this, of course, can be done. So we would work, as I said earlier, with organizations of all sizes right across the country and globally. So we'll have Irish organizations that have a global footprint. So they will look to survey not just the Irish audience, but the global footprint. Then within Ireland, we will have organizations with a footprint around the country. So there is definitely an opportunity, and some organizations will do this, where they will start off with a pilot piece in their first year of the 3 years, and say, well, actually, we're going to survey this element of the business because this is more mature, but maybe we're taking over another organization, and this is how we're growing the business through acquisition. Can we look to survey those elements of the business as we go along? Yes is the answer. In terms of external recognition, there's one piece that we really need to be clear that we can recognize that group that have been surveyed as a standalone group, so that we can really be clear around who it is that's surveyed and who it is that's being recognized. Now, so I'm just going to move into some live questions here, if I may. A question in from Lindsay. Thank you, Lindsay, around what percentage of companies that begin the process achieve certification in the end. And that's really an interesting question that I certainly get asked every week. And I think it's changed over the years. When we first launched Certified, we had a lot of organizations that in the past had looked to engage in best workplaces, but because there's a ranked element to that, they may have been a little bit shy around engaging and get concerned around the rank. Now we've multiple organizations that are engaging because they don't know what score they have, or maybe they run an internal survey themselves and they don't know where to start in terms of action planning. So it's really hard to call out an exact percentage. As I said, in terms of the audience here this morning, deciding whether you're, or having the opinion whether you're a great place to work already or not, organizations are self-selecting. So there certainly is a higher percentage of organizations that would, achieve certification because they're self-selecting, as I say. So now, anonymous attendee here, the question is, hi, is the survey a standard template for all users and all industries? Yes, it is. So we have a standard template with a range of statements in there, and this is important in terms of benchmarking, so that we know what the range of responses look like. So if you think about it, everybody in Ireland and everybody in each organization is answering the same survey template. What's really important here is benchmarks. So if somebody is out in the field, literally, or in a manufacturing site or in support services, they're all answering the same statements, but it's using benchmarks we can understand what do your scores look like and where then should you action plan. I should say there is an opportunity to add in additional statements. If that's something that you want to do, there is that flexibility there, and we can help you and support you with that as well. How does recertification process differ from initial certification, or does it? That's a really good question. So let's say you're engaging and in year one you don't achieve certification. Our role then is to help you pay attention to the particular areas where there was a deficiency in the score to get you to certification. So then the next time around when we survey, you are certified in this example. So once you're certified, then you're into a rhythm. So let's say in this example in my head, I'm thinking that you're certified this year from October 2024 around to September 2025. When you get into next year, you will be action planning on the results of the survey. And then we're running the survey again, and you're looking to certify on the same rhythm and on the same calendar 12 months as you have in the initial certification. So there's no actual difference in the certification. It's just a matter of fitting in with that rhythm of certification. So Aoife, thanks. I see your question here. Maybe a difficult question to answer. I hope not. But are there added difficulties, challenges in certifying an organization in hospitality where turnover is understandably very high? There are challenges, but I wouldn't see it as a difficulty. So if any of you are observing and seeing how many organizations we have certified in Ireland, we have a really strong presence in hospitality. And I think it's because there is a natural turnover in the business. There's a natural turnover because of age and roles and the fluidity that people can move around with. But we have a really strong client presence. And in fact, we've produced a list of best workplaces in hospitality in Ireland, such as the strength of organizations we have in that sector. So a challenge, I suppose, in terms of rolling out the survey, but what's really interesting for organizations to capture is what is the experience of people within the organization. Part of the feedback we're giving you is around time in the organization. So whether somebody is a new joiner, they're longer. So you're able to monitor and capture data around the experience that people have within the organization. And that informs then, well, why are they leaving? Is it a natural industry turnover? Is there something else that we could pay attention to that will keep them? So when we talk about talent, for us, it's retention first. So understanding, well, actually, what is it that people in our organizations really value? What is it that they're calling out? What sort of narrative are they using in the comments and suggestions in the survey? And how can we get that narrative externally to inform our employer brand and say, well, okay, hospitality by nature has higher turnover, but what can we do as an organization that's different? That will attract the best talent to us. And then what are the things that are talent that we currently have and that we value? What is it that they value that we can build on to keep them with us? Sorry, no, just bear with me. I'll have a scroll down here. So, the question is, will there be guidance and advice on how best to communicate the survey to employees? Why it is important to complete so that we can get the best participation rate possible. So to answer the first part of that question, in terms of communicating the survey back to your people, absolutely, there is help and support there. So when we're coming back to your organization with your results, we are presenting back to the senior leadership team, and we're presenting all the data with all the benchmarks, with all the internal scores for departments, teams, roles, functions. Quite clearly from that, you're not going to want to share all that information because it's too much. So our role there is very much to decide, well, what are the most important pieces to pay attention to, and what is it that you want to cascade to your team? So it's pulling some of that information. There's an opportunity to use some of the comments if they can be shared and protect, no identifier in there. A comment can be a really good indicator as to the sentiment of people above and beyond the data. And something furthermore, I would say that we do pay attention to, and we work with many of our organizations in, is participation. So what you don't want is Great Place to Work to be seen as a HR gig or something that belongs to the senior team. You want this to be seen as something that colleagues and employees and staff, whatever title you give them, can participate in, can collaborate with. So generally, when we're coming back with results, there'll be some areas that will be solved through the line of management in a vertical plan, if you like. Then there'll be some other areas that are softer around communication, where you can give that back to some of the team to say, well, look, we've asked, you told us, but tell us more. And give them the opportunity to come up with practices, to come up with solutions. And that's a great opportunity in a way to cascade some of those results and say, well, look, here is an opportunity for you to come up with solutions. So people are very clear from the outset. You've communicated to say, we're engaging with Great Place to Work with a view to being certified over the next 3 years. And then after year one, they're observing then that results have been shared. There's an opportunity to collaborate, an opportunity to get involved and to move through. So anonymous question here around what are the fees and costs for the service? I haven't mentioned it already because it's such a broad scope. It really depends on a key driver here is the size of the organization and the level of engagement that you actually want. So whether you want a survey, whether you might want pulse surveys along the way, what sort of feedback you want. Do you want additional supports along the way? So that is a really Good question, and one that I would say that I'm more than happy to answer individually. If we can set up a quick meeting, I can share with you what costs look like based on the information that you can give me around the size of your organization, what stage in the plan you are for yourselves already, and what that looks like for you. So what level of engagement and support would you actually need from us? Sorry, another question here. Has it been possible for best workplaces to measure the impacts of a business being certified? Certainly, we would have multiple stories from our clients. And again, this can be sometimes a challenge with Great Place to Work because if you think about, we're capturing statements from everybody within the organization across 17 actionable categories. So for some organizations, it's around talent attraction. I think there's probably not very many organizations in Ireland for whom talent isn't an issue, whether it be talent retention or attraction. So there are direct and key measurables there around, well, what is our regretted loss figure look like in terms of how many people are we losing that we don't want to lose above and beyond what's industry standard? What could we be doing better? Then we'd have statements in there around strategy and direction, communication and involvement, teamwork, line management, performance management. So performance management is obviously such an important area to delivering for the strategy. So for a lot of our clients, we absolutely would have measurables around that. One example is Woody's would jump out to me. Woody's have been a client with us for many years. When they started, their starting score was really low, and they built that score up to being consistently recognized as a best workplace for women, best workplace for health and well-being as well. And how they use their data actually is really interesting. So they look at their trust score, so their score from the survey, and they can look at that by location. And they can see, and they know that the sites or the stores that score more highly than other locations are more profitable. So if you think about pretty much the same footprint, the same product, the same level of people, but within their organization, the stores that are scoring more highly are more profitable, and they are a great place to work. So you can imagine then the gap is more significant for organizations that are not yet certified and that are not yet recognized in terms of what they can do in terms of improving performance, improving alignment, improving collaboration, to ultimately get people to understand, well, am I in the right business? Am I in the right organization? And do I understand my role and the importance and deliver for the business in that way? And June has a question. So many have been anonymous. Thank you, June, for your question. If received certification in 21-22 but failed in 23, what would be proposed? And this happens. It's a great place to work, and it's very much working in the real world and supporting people through challenges. And an industry can have a challenge, or the world can have a COVID type challenge. That can happen all the time. So, for example, in your question, if you're certified in year one, and then for whatever reason scores drop that you're not certified in the following year, then there is an opportunity to look at the data. So you would have, let's say, your first year's data. Then we have what we call internal benchmarking to measure what the deviation in the data is in year two, and really understand and look back at the data together with your leadership team and say, well, actually, what do we think drove that? What do we think might be the issue in there? How can we work on this together? So then I would say what's really proposed is that there be some action for leadership and for middle management to engage with their people and collaboratively work together to understand, well, what was the issue? What was the challenge? What is it that we can work on together that can really build up that score? So to ensure that people are coming along with you. Yeah, I think I had one other question from in advance to the webinar that I didn't answer from Grania, in terms of how long does the process take. So typically we would say 6 weeks, and that's allowing ample time for the survey, pre-survey communication and pre-survey launch. And then the survey typically is held open for 2 weeks. On your client success call, we're looking at that stage to book in a feedback session with your leadership team. So 6 to 8 weeks certainly would be ample time. Obviously, as it gets busier in this time and slots become tighter, really important that we're able to book in that. So look, I'm conscious of everybody's time, and thank you very much for all the questions that came in live. I have some questions up on the screen here. which I'm not going to read through, I don't think, with you, because we've answered some. But in terms of the first one there, do we survey all employees? Yes, we do. We absolutely survey all the surveys. So actually, I just thought I'd fix it here. Just going to check the chat because there may be questions in here as well. There is. Sorry. So Anna, no, I'm conscious of how we for time. Good. Okay. So could you give us an idea of the type of questions and questions categories in the survey? What's the difference between a great place to work for women cert and the regular one? So in terms of statements, Anna, and it's really good that you're asking that question. So in the main, we don't ask questions. The main body of the survey, we have statements that are always positive. So for example, they might be, I'm proud to tell people I work here. We're all in this together. My manager keeps me up to date with important information, or my manager makes their expectations clear. So in the main, there are statements. They're always positive, and people respond to those on a scale of 1 to 5. Both 4 and 5, the answer for 4 is often true, and for 5 is almost always true, are considered to be a positive response. So that's what the survey looks like. In terms of best workplace for women, I'd really like to pick this up with you individually if I could. So what we're doing around best workplace for women is we're looking at your overall organizational score, and then we're capturing the experience of women in your workplace as to what that looks like, how that compares to your overall organizational score. So it's not women in the workplace and women in other workplaces around Ireland specifically. It's actually, is your workplace a great place to work for all or for everybody in the workplace, and specifically looking at the experience of women in the workplace. So that is a best workplace. So that's not a certification. So certification is for the organization in general to begin with. Once certified, then if relevant, you would have access to best workplace for women, best workplace in tech, best workplace for health and well-being, and best workplace for hospitality in Ireland in 2025. Let me just have a look at another question here. I think. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through the questions here, and I want to make sure I've got everybody. But I think that is. I think that's it. So thank you very much for your time this morning. As I say, conscious of your time. That's my contact details there, and I know we've shared a link to book in, and we look forward to following up with you and hearing any other questions we have that you'd like to go through. I look forward to speaking to you then. Thank you very much for your time this morning. It's been great, and have a great day and enjoy the weather for the rest of the week. Thank you, everybody.